Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. I appreciate you watching the channel. If you are new to this channel, you are welcome to subscribe to it. There is no cost to do so. And if you click the little bell symbol, it will give you a little reminder when a new video has been posted to this channel. And without any further babbling on, I will show you guys my latest purchase find. I've been finding machines lately, and when I see a machine that I really think is a good candidate for restoration, I consider getting it, because you can't assume what might come up in the future. There may be lots to choose from, or there may be sometimes a dry spell when I don't see machines that I want to overhaul or that I think are good candidates. So and then sometimes I get people reach out to me and say, hey, do you need this machine? Do you want this machine? And, I showed you guys in a prior video, I think, when I got that I think it's a 127, 127 or 128, and it came in that treadle table, and it was sitting on the curb. And, I didn't plan that, but I thought, God, it was about to rain. And sometimes I have this thing about saving things that should not be tossed away, and I just can't help myself. So I think there are some of you guys out there too, so I'm not the only one. So without further intro, I'm going to show you guys my latest find. I want to talk a little bit about what you want to look for. So let's see. First, I'll show you the power source it came with. Now, this has been rewired at some point in the past. This is older, but it's not original. I'll see about what I'm going to do with this plug. This is a Singer plug, an actual plug, and it looks like they had moved away from. Well, actually, this may be one of the Bakelite. I see the tiny little. See if I can do a close-up here. The tiny little bolts and nuts that go with that. Anyway, at some point, and just to remind you, I'm going to give you guys a little quiz here and see if you can guess. Those of you who are really into vintage machines, you'll know exactly, well, you'll have some idea anyway what machine. Okay, so this machine has two cords. Notice it's got the classic vintage Singer plug that was used for decades and decades, and it has one cord coming out of it. The other side doesn't have one. This is called a single lead in sewing machine parlance. This, of course, is no. Those of you guys who've watched my channel, you'll be no stranger to this. Is the ubiquitous Singer button style foot pedal, carbon pile design. I was looking at this, and it has tape around it, and yet it has the screws and the rubber feet. So you can see this rubber foot's already tired. May not even be original, but that can be easily replaced. And we have our screws here. So it's not as if the pedal is threatening to come apart. Let's see if you guys can guess why. And this is how it came. This is how I got it. Why is there tape on here? It's sort of this gray tape of some sort. It's almost not so much a duct tape, more like a fabric or canvas type tape. And at the end of this cord that goes into the foot pedal is this. Now, those of you who followed my channel, or those of you who follow or are into vintage sewing machines may recognize this. These little prongs here for this plug are brass, so they'll give you an idea of how old they are, because the new reproductions are not brass, and very few companies use brass anymore because they can make things cheaper. No surprise there. But anyway, now let's see here. I'll go ahead, if you haven't guessed by now, this is the power cord and the separate foot pedal cord. They go to a Singer machine, and they go to a specific set of Singer models, and they range from the 400 series to, of course, the machine that came out before the 400, and that was this model. You guys heard me grunt as I pull this thing up. So you guys are looking at a Singer 301A, and the color is called, I think they called it light beige. I think that's what Singer called it. We can call it whatever we want at this point. And this is how it came. So I saw this for sale. The seller was very transparent. They said, sewing machine, it runs, but it's having stitching problems. And they said they were having issues with the tension. And they told me that they had replaced the check spring. Now the check spring, if you don't know, many of you will, the check spring is part of the tension, thread tension assembly, the upper thread assembly for the thread tensioning. All of your vintage machines have, in fact, I think even newer machines have check springs, and this spring is a part of how the tensioning of the thread works before it hits into the area of the needle. Now, this was the spring that was on it, and the person I got this from said they got a new spring because they assumed. Now, when I look at the spring, I'm not really seeing a lot of issues. It's not broken. It looks, you can see where they pulled it out, but I'm really not. I think they might have diagnosed that because they were trying to figure it out, and I don't blame them. What else have we got in here in this bag? I've got two of these, two little washers, and now I'm going to be looking into these washers to make sure that they came where they came from. Sometimes when people get machines, they get all kinds of stuff going on. They might get a machine. They might get a machine with a case. This had neither a case nor table. But things often come with a sewing machine, and they don't always belong with them, but these may. And then, most important of all, and this is a heads up for any of you guys, if you ever go to purchase a Featherweight or the Singer 221 or a Singer 301, you want to look very closely and make sure that you have this. This is arguably one of the most expensive and precious things you will find in vintage sewing machines. This is an original Singer produced bobbin case for, there's the bobbin, for a bobbin and hook system that Singer used for the Singer 221 and 222 models, which are the Featherweights, as most people call them, and the 301 uses the same bobbin case, the same hook and shuttle design, and the rest of the machine is different in quite a few ways. Some years ago, when I started restoring machines, these cases were selling for $75 and about $60 for a good reproduction. And when I say good, I mean they're okay. They go under the name Toya, I believe, and they're made in Japan. And they're pretty good, but they're still not as good because they're not as coveted as the originals. Bobbin cases are often underappreciated for just how amazing they are. Just to create this with this level of quality was very costly, and Singer had the capital to do this, but I dare say you won't see a bobbin case in any machine, certainly not in any home machine today that is anything like this. But today, right now, if you go onto eBay, you're going to see original Singer bobbin cases like this selling for over $100, $80 for the reproductions. My point is, if you ever go to buy one of these machines, you need to ask the seller if you're getting it online. I don't like doing that, but if you get it online, having it shipped, make sure that you verify that it has a working bobbin case, because if it does not, you can get one, but you want to factor that into your budget, because you could pay, whatever you pay for the machine, you're going to be adding $100 just for this. and they are wonderful. But it's so nice to have them. And as soon as I got this machine, this case, when I pulled on it, it didn't fight me. It wasn't stiff. Okay, and you can, I don't know if you guys can hear it clicking, because the spring is still in really good shape. But anyway, just remember to ask, or if you're looking at a machine, just go and find, it's over here on the side, and make sure that it's there or the seller has it somewhere. You do not want to be without this case, because you're not obviously not going to sew anything without it. Let's see. So I got the machine, and if you look closely at it, you will see, hey, there's something missing. Yeah, there's a cover that fits right here, and it has a glass lens. Now, unfortunately, it didn't have it, and the lady had no idea it was given to her, and she wasn't keeping it. She didn't have it. She was using it. Now, this is not plugged in, but what did I do? I went up and looked at it when I arrived at the seller's location, and I did this. I just want to make sure, and yeah, this is nice and solid. It's mounted. I haven't plugged it in, but I can get more bulbs. I'm not worried if the bulb is burned out or not, but I have a nice clicking movement to the switch, presumably. Not tested yet, but I'm feeling okay about the switch. Let's see. If you look at the bobbin winder, I can feel the tension. There's a spring here, so that feels okay. Now, notice, and guys, I don't even have to pull this off. I can just zoom in, and you can see this is one of the things that's easy to check on most vintage sewing machines. You guys, do you see the little checking or cracking? This is normal. This happens as rubber oxidizes and ages. I can't explain why some of these bobbin tires have aged less. They could be the same age. Some of them are still not cracked or dry rotted, and some are very bad. Some get gummy. I suspect a lot of it has to do with the atmospheric pollution that they may have been exposed to. If you have a machine that's been kept in a nice case all its life, and who knows. But the good news is they're easy to replace. Well, this one even came off in my hand. But if this happens, if you come across a machine, especially a Singer, or any of the machines that are clones, don't let this stop you from buying it. You can get these. If you can get them locally, fine. If you don't, you can go online and get them. I usually pay 99 cents for them, and they will be just fine. Okay, you want to make sure. Again, I was checking the spring, which feels good, and the little hub of the wheel here. Now it turns fine. It's not super smooth because it's dry. This machine's dry, I can tell. Even if the person was sewing with it, when the person I got it from, they may not have thought to oil this. Most people who have sewing machines, they just want to sew, and unless the machine gives them problems, they don't always maintain them the way they should. Okay, so not a problem, not worried the least bit about this, and not surprised. Okay, easy to check, easy to get, and easy to replace. All right, what else have we got here? The other thing I noticed on this machine, let's zoom back out, is strangely, I don't see a lot of paint wear except up here, which is kind of funny. I don't see paint wearing away on this part of a 301 often. The only thing I can figure is someone may have taped, or maybe they put something up here to hold pins, because people were often pulling pins and putting them in to keep the fabric, to keep two layers of fabric stable as they stitched away. I don't know what else could have done it, to be honest. Very often, if you're going to see chipping or paint loss, you will often see it on the edges. There's a little bit down here, tiny little bit, but not bad actually. What else have we got? We got these wonderful, it's probably my favorite spool pin, to just kind of geek out on you guys a little bit. I love the spool pin from this design. I've seen this on Necchi Supernovas and Singer 301s. I don't know who had it first, but it's like a giant spring, but very beefy, very heavy gauged, and you can bend it. So I think it was designed so if you did bend it, it didn't snap. right? It would give, which is kind of clever. And then you've got our little thread guide here for when you're winding a bobbin. If you look here, I've got the presser foot up, and when I turn the stitch length lever up into reverse, you can see the feed dogs. Well, I think you can see the feed dogs moving over here. That shows me that the machine has been used. It's not overly stiff in this place, and this would have been needed to be used, unlike the bobbin winder when the person was sewing. There are other ways to wind a bobbin besides your machine. So I would never not buy a machine because the bobbin winder had issues. I wouldn't do that. You can get yourself a really good deal. Now, what else? Let's just kind of go around, and we'll, like I say, I just got it home. Let's see, over here. Let's lift up a bit. Yeah. And you can see this is where the two-pronged cord goes for the foot pedal, because this Singer design and the 400 series, you plug your foot pedal in separately. Now there may be a way to use double lead cords without doing this, and I believe I have. I'll have to go back and check, to be honest. But that's what these holes are for. If you're like, what is that? You know, because maybe you have one that's got the 2-lead cord and you've got the Singer plug, but one cord comes out to the foot pedal, the other one goes to the electricity source. Anyway, what else have we got here? We've got a little scratch here, which is curious. That tells me that this case might, at one point in its life, either was sold with the trapezoid grass cloth case, which you guys have seen. I think you've seen me talk about those before. It could also have been installed into one of those little Singer bracket trays. The word's not coming to me, but it's the piece that goes into a Singer sewing table if you want to install a 301. What else can we say about this machine? No big deal back here. We've got our spool pin, looks in good shape, and you can see the handle. I don't carry machines by their handles, but this one has, functional. It's doesn't seem to have any problems. What else have we got? Well, a little spot of paint loss right up here. What else? But we've got our thread guide, right? It's a little loose, so I may have to adjust that, but I'm not worried about that. And this thread guide's here, because I think I am missing it on that black 301 I recently got. Okay, what else do we want to look at? Let's just open up the side door. Remarkably clean. Look at that, guys. Wow. I don't even see a lot of dust in there or anything. Well, that's nice. I know we know how to clean this. We've covered this in many videos, and this is turning. Of course, this is a bar that is used to adjust the pressure of the presser bar that your sewing foot's attached to, right? And it seems to be working. We have nice tension here, but I can adjust it. I can turn it. If this is frozen, there are easy ways to get this unfrozen, but I'm not going to need to do that. I will be oiling it, putting a little bit of grease here so that snaps back. Oh, here's another thing, guys, to watch for, and I think I may have shown this before. So I got the machine home. This is interesting. Looks like I'm missing a pin. Aha! Look at that. There's a pin over here, or actually a bolt, that holds the bed extension. But on this side, well, you look at that. It's gone. But it's not broken. Now, a lot of people would look at this, oh no, it's broken. It's not. It's actually waiting for that bolt. And I'm going to look, and I'll look in my stash to see if I have one. But the reason I originally wanted you guys to see this view is that I have to go back, and as I overhaul the machine, I check everything, obviously. Well, I noticed that this is out of place. Remember that on featherweights and 301s, the shuttle assembly, or the race area here, has a little finger notch or little finger extension, and it fits in the notch right here. Now, you look at it and think, well, if you've never seen one of these, hey, there's something broke. No, it's waiting, because whenever you have a Singer Featherweight or a 301, in order to get this to line up in that slot, you have to remove the needle plate. And that basically only ever happens if you get a better view of it there. The only time you would normally remove the plate is to clean your feed dogs, right? And when you take that plate out, let's go back to the other view that I had for you. Whenever you take the plate out, this little, I call it the finger extension for lack of a better term, it comes out of the notch because the notch goes away. This whole piece is your needle plate, and when it comes out, this is just going to flop down. Well, when you reinstall the plate, you've got to make sure that this extension, this little finger piece, is in that notch. If it's not, your machine won't work well. Now, whether that's the reason the seller had problems, I don't know, because I didn't get a chance. This was, we're still doing some social distancing. I couldn't go in and test it and check it out. I had to basically take a quick look at it and make a decision. Again, in fact, when I got it, I didn't notice this. This can happen to you, by the way. You may get a machine and get it home. It's like, oh man, I didn't know that this thing was a little floppy on this end. But thankfully, it is going to be repairable. I've just got to find the bolt. Either I've got one or I'll have to buy one. So, there you go, guys. Made in USA. Says right down here. And I'll say one last thing about this. You might say, well, why did you bother buying this thing? I mean, come on. It's this machine is, it's missing this cover part up here, right? It's missing the cover of the light bulb, which comes with 2 bolts. But I went online and I found some spare parts because it's a Singer and they're not as hard to find. And I've actually ordered that. I got that ordered. What else did I order? I ordered something from this supplier. But anyway, we've got to do a video, got to do an update video on suppliers. That's another video idea that will be coming. But anyway, I got this ordered. And I'm pretty sure I already have tires for this. But back to the question, why buy one of these? I've already got a black one. And why purchase one in this color? Well, when you see a 301 for sale, you don't always have a choice. You don't get to choose which color it is. But I wanted you guys to see this because there are those of you out there who are really wonderful sewers. You love to sew, and some of you have heard that it would be awesome to have a Singer Featherweight because the Featherweight is amazing. Its stitch quality is amazing. And then you may have gone looking for them and you may have priced a Featherweight, and normally you will pay dearly. Featherweights, the cost of a Singer Featherweight, even if they're not restored and overhauled like I prepare my machines, they still sell for a lot of money. It may shock you when you see. And that's for the standard bed that has this same type of needle plate. If you get the 222 model, which is arguably one of the smallest free arm machines ever designed, they are like little Swiss watches, and they sell for well over $1,000. Between one, actually I've seen them as high as $2,400. And that's could be totally worth it for you if you want one, if you collect them, if you just want to sew with one. So why do I mention that? Remember what I said earlier. The bobbin case, the bobbin, the shuttle, race, and the hook, the whole lower stitching system is the same in a 301 as it is in a Featherweight. And while there are dramatically different changes to a Featherweight, they can be a good thing because Featherweights, they do some incredible stitch work. They have a rotary hook. They're small, diminutive. People are huge fans of the aesthetic of the Featherweight. But maybe for you, You just want to be able to get that featherweight stitch. Well, you're looking at a way to do it for a lot less. You can get a a 301. And if you want one in black, it's going to cost more, because those black 301s, they sell for more than either the light beige, or there's another, the first machine I ever restored, you guys have seen the pictures on my homepage. It was called light beige oyster white. It's a two-tone color scheme. Those, the beige machines, they sell for less, but it's purely aesthetics. There's no difference. A black 301 doesn't sew better, or worse. They sew exactly the same. So what's the point? The point here is, if you want a featherweight because you want the stitching of a featherweight, and you want that beautiful quality stitch that the Singer rotary designs were and are known for, and there are others like the 201. But if you want a featherweight and you don't want to pay that much, you really should look at one of these. They are incredible. They have a different sound, but they are amazing. They have a stronger motor. They have a slant needle, but the stitch quality of a 301 is virtually the same as a featherweight, because the whole engineering and design of that, all the magic that goes on underneath, right, to get that gorgeous stitch is the same. It's basically a featherweight underneath, and then it's, of course, a slant-o-matic up top. So, and you don't have to pay as much, and you have a bit more range. You can't sew super heavy fabrics with either a 301 or a featherweight. In the 301's case, it's not its motor, it's the slanted needle. But never mind that. The point is, you can get featherweight quality without a featherweight price. And if you're willing to take on one of these light beige models, it's going to be even less money. So seriously, guys, don't turn your nose up or pass by a 301, because you're passing over diamonds here. And of course, if you say, you know what, I love featherweights and I want one and I'm willing to pay, by all means, because there are tons of those out there. I've restored featherweights in the past. You don't see me restoring as many because it's one of the only vintage sewing machines that even non-sewing machine people, non-sewers will look for. They're easy to spot, and they know that people will pay for them. But as I've covered in other videos before, no matter what you're buying, even if it's a featherweight, particularly if it's a featherweight, be extra careful, guys, and ask questions before you pay a super high price for a sewing machine. And I'm talking about vintage sewing machines here. You want to investigate. I've talked about that in other videos. The right questions to ask people before you put down that big money. Make sure the machine has been gone through, and then find out what they've done. Anyway, you guys will see this machine. It will be brought back to life, and it will find a new owner. And whoever gets it will get a machine that I would argue is the same quality as a featherweight for a lot less. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. I'm getting more beautiful natural light, that now we're getting into spring, thank goodness. And there'll be lots more videos to come.